Howdy y'all, Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome out into my lovely fall garden. Today what I want to talk to you about is 10 different crops that you can direct sow into your garden in the month of September to grow your own food right here in North Texas. So the first the family of crops that we're going to discuss is going to be leafy greens, and this is going to be things like lettuce, spinach, kale, and then varieties of chard. So I'm going to give you some very quick information about those crops as well as the days to maturity for each of them, so you can kind of plan out when you can begin harvesting the fully mature crops. So for lettuce, lettuce is great. It's pretty fast growing. It's going to reach complete maturity in 45 to 55 days on average. That's not every variety. That's just the average days to maturity across all of the different types. You can grow pretty much any type of lettuce this time of year. It does really well. Now it isn't super cold hardy. So if we do reach freezing temperatures and they're below 27, 28 degrees, the lettuce will not survive without protection, but it does do okay with light frost temperatures. The great thing about lettuce is that the loose leaf varieties, not like your romaines or your iceberg or anything like that, but your loose leaf varieties, you can cut and come again. So you can go out, harvest what you need for your salads or your burgers or whatever it is that you're getting your lettuce for, and it will continue to grow new leaves. So you have basically a perpetual crop until it can no longer survive the temperatures outside. And then the next crop is going to be spinach. And the great thing about spinach is it is also cut and come again. It is also nutritionally dense. It's going to provide you with a ton of nutrition in just a few leaves, and it is relatively easy to grow. Now this does not like its roots disturbed, so it is best to go ahead and direct sow this one, meaning go ahead and plant it directly out into your growing space. This one is going to be a little bit more cold tolerant than the lettuce, but it is not like super duper cold tolerant. So if it reaches 10 degrees, spinach is not going to survive without some sort of protection to help it out. The next variety is going to be kale. Now kale is ridiculously cold tolerant. The Russian red variety of kale is frost tolerant all the way down to 10 degrees, which is really freaking cold. So this one is really great if you want to be kind of a lazy gardener and not want to have to do much frost protection. Kale is going to be your buddy there. And it is also a nutritionally dense crop. It is also cut and come again. And there are some varieties this one, actually this blue Scotch right here, it will pull through the winter and grow on through the summer into the next winter. I have one that's growing in my other green stalk over there that is on its second or third year, and it's still just trucking along. And then the last leafy green variety is going to be chard. Now I do apologize if this packet doesn't have a picture on it other than this little doodle here, but it looks similar to spinach leaves, but it has a little bit tougher veins running through it than the spinach. It is also very nutritionally dense, and it is also cut and come again. And here in our area, chard will actually perennialize, meaning once you get it good and established, as it pulls through the winter, then it will also continue to produce through spring, summer, fall, into the next winter and onward, until you either get rid of the plant or it goes away on its own. Now, I did forget to mention the days to maturity on the spinach, kale, and chard, so let me just throw those out really quick. Just as a refresher, the lettuce is 45 to 55 days. So if you sow that now, as of the time that you're watching this video, if it is around September 9th, which is today, then you will be harvesting fully mature lettuce before our expected first frost in mid-November. Spinach is going to be 45 to 50 days, so a little bit more, a little bit faster growing on that. Hey buddy. Kale is going to take a little bit longer, but keep in mind that it is also going to last through much colder temperatures, so it's kind of okay if it takes a little longer to get there. So the days to maturity on kale is 55 to 75 days, And then chard is also a little bit slower at 55 to 70 days. The next category of crops that you can go ahead and direct sow out into your garden in September in North Texas is going to be root vegetables. I kind of like to think of September as the lettuce, turnip, the beet month, because all of those things can be planted in your garden at that time. So the first root vegetable that you can direct sow into your garden is going to be radishes. Now there's a ton of different varieties, shapes, and sizes of radishes. It's not a one size fits all. And these are incredibly versatile. So you can eat them raw in salads, you can ferment them, pickle them, you can roast them, and then they take on more of like a potato-like characteristics. They're also, the entire plant is edible. You can eat the greens as well as the roots. And these reach maturity incredibly quickly. So you could even do succession sowing. So you could get these radishes in, get them almost harvested, and then get another run of radishes out. You could, in theory, get 2 different runs of radishes fully grown and harvested and out of your garden before that expected frost in mid-November. So these reach maturity in 25 to 45 days, so very quickly. The next variety of root vegetable that you can direct sow right now is going to be beets. Now, there are different types of beets. There's these beautiful red ones that are probably the most well-known, that stain everything red that it touches. There's also golden beets that have a much milder flavor than the red beet or the candy stripe beet, the one that's red and white. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm not going to butcher that here. It has an Italian name. And then there's also white beets, which are supposedly the mildest in flavor. All are incredibly versatile. Again, they can be eaten fresh, roasted, pickled, fermented, several different ways. Whenever I worked as a pastry cook, the restaurant that I worked at cooked them sous vide and served them with a salad, and it was really lovely. So yes, beets are incredibly versatile. They will reach maturity in anywhere from 55 to 70 days on average. So relatively medium time to harvest on these. You can harvest them smaller for more tender beets, or you can wait until they're like a bigger size to be able to do more of the roasting, fermenting, and pickling type stuff with them. The next root vegetable that you can plant right now in North Texas is going to be carrots. Now, everybody's familiar with carrots. I don't really need to speak on them too much, other than to kind of remind you that the entire plant is edible. You can eat the leaves. A lot of people will use the tops to make a pesto with. Additionally, if you're going to plant them in the fall, which I suggest for North Texas because it's cooling down, in the spring, when you can also plant carrots, it warms up so quickly that the carrots don't really form their roots very well. But if you plant them in the fall, you don't have to worry about trying to beat the frost. You can leave them in the ground and just mulch them really well, and they will continue to grow throughout those cold temperatures. You may lose the greens in those cold temperatures, but the roots will be just fine. Think of it kind of like a root cellar. You just go out and you harvest your carrots fresh whenever you need them. Now, these will reach maturity in 60 to 80 days, so they will take a little bit longer. But as I was saying, because you can kind of use your garden space as a root cellar for them, you're not really in danger of losing them unless it reaches subarctic temperatures, I would guess. In the years that I have grown carrots, it hasn't gotten too cold for them yet, and that is including the 2021 super freeze that we had. And then the last root vegetable that you can direct sow in your garden in North Texas in September is going to be turnips. Now, there's different varieties of turnips. The white ones are going to be a little bit sweeter, but there's also the traditional purple top that you can see in the grocery store probably year-round. So again, the entire plant on these is edible. My mother is really fond of the turnip greens, which are cooked similarly to collard greens, but I don't like them. I like the turnips themselves. I treat them like a potato, and I'll roast them or, cook them any way that you can cook a potato, and it kind of replaces the potato in the winter. It is really versatile. and it reaches maturity much faster than the carrots and even the beets. It's going to reach maturity in 30 to 60 days. So pretty quickly growing on these. And the last category of crops that you can plant right now is going to be legumes. So you can go ahead and direct sow bush varieties of beans, and these are going to reach maturity in 60 to 70 days. So you are pushing the line on this a little bit, so you're gonna wanna hurry to get these in. However, the bush beans are going to develop all of their beans basically all at one time. So once you go through and harvest, you can just let the plants die and put that nutrition back into the soil. So the good thing about legumes is they are nitrogen fixing. They're going to pull nitrogen out of the air, deposit it into the soil, which will assist in fertilizing some of your nitrogen hungry plants like the leafy greens here. So the other legume crop that you can direct sow right now into your gardens is going to be these lovely snap peas. So these are the peas that you typically see in stir fries, or you eat as like salad, eat as snacks with some sort of like hummus or ranch dip, or are often placed in salads as well. These are going to reach maturity in 60 to 70 days. And these are lightly frost tolerant. They're not going to last below probably about 30 degrees, but right at that 32-degree line, they will be okay. There are like bush varieties of these snap peas if you don't have a climbing trellis, but these vining varieties will be very, very prolific if you do have some sort of structure for them to climb on. This is it. This is 10 crops that you can plant right now in North Texas in order to grow your own food through the fall and winter. And that's all I have for you guys today. If you liked this video and you want to see more content like this where I just lay it all out for you, what can be planted right now, please feel free to like and subscribe and comment and do all those different YouTube-y things. It is greatly helping my channel to grow and improve. But until next time, go find a way to get those garden manicures. Bye!